So Denver Justice Project was founded in 2015 in wake of the former Denver District Attorney Mitchell Morrissey making a decision not to indict the officers who killed 16-year-old LGBTQ community member Jessica Hernandez. And what came out of that verdict was an unprecedented community effort to recall former Denver District Attorney Mitchell Morrissey. And even though the recall effort was unsuccessful, the community saw and still sees district attorneys as the most influential players in the entire criminal justice system. They decide who gets charged with felonies, who gets charged with misdemeanors, or who gets charged at all. And in this case, we have continuously seen district attorneys abuse their bully pulpit, which is their influence, by neglecting or refusing to charge officers who engage in patterns and practices of different types of misconduct. So what emerged from that effort was not only nationally recognized as efforts to begin to hold these key players accountable, but also the Denver Justice Project. And I myself hold this very dear to my heart because in 2009, I was racially profiled by Denver police, laughed at and called a nigger and beaten almost to death with fists, radios, a flashlight, and a service revolver. And Mitchell Morrissey, the Denver DA at the time who was responsible for reviewing my case, decided not to charge the officers involved. And within several months, a handful of the officers involved in my case had gone on to commit other acts of violence in our community. So for me, Denver Justice Project is not only a responsibility, but it began as a therapeutic mechanism, not only for myself, but other community members impacted directly by law enforcement violence. I think it's very important to know your rights for a handful of reasons. One, speaking from my own perspective as a black man here in the Denver community, a fourth-generation Colorado native, a domestic adoptee, a father, and actually the grandson of a Denver police officer, we have ancestors who lost their lives for these constitutional rights to be not only adopted but preserved. And I feel it is empowering for me as a black male to defeat stereotypes expected of me, especially when navigating interactions with law enforcement. I think that we do ourselves a disservice to not understand what's been constitutionally appointed to us, but we put ourselves in jeopardy. We put ourselves in danger by not knowing how to effectively navigate the interactions with law enforcement to the best possible outcome. Because one thing I think people neglect to remember in these situations oftentimes is this is the first step to a much larger criminal justice system. And how you navigate that interaction on the street, it could do one of three things. It could result in absolutely no charges being filed. It could result in excessive charges being filed, or it just might cost you your life. So I think for myself, it is a duty, a responsibility I have to educate as many people who will listen on how to effectively navigate these interactions to the best possible outcomes.